What's up, everyone? Welcome to Flip the Scripts. My name is.
Just restart that. Redo
Sorry.
that. That was
No,
terrible.
but it usually does the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it just didn't do it this time, and I was like, oh.
Well, it stopped at 2 and then just thought that you were smart enough to put together that it started when the red blinker started going. Woohoo!
No, mine stopped at 5. Mine went 5, and then it was just stopped, and I went, what the heck's going on? What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Flip the Scripts. I'm Stephen Nieman.
And I'm Ankit and Stephan.
And we're back with Avatar, The Last Airbender, the live-action Netflix version, not the M. Night Shyamalan film.
Woo! I like how we preface that for every single episode that we do.
Well,
I feel like the listeners already know this, but just in case.
Well, I'm afraid we're going to get comments asking us to do the M. Night Shyamalan film eventually.
Yeah.
But we will do it on our Patreon, so come watch it on our Patreon.
I keep forgetting that you're making me watch this for our Patreon. I mean, look, they deserve it. They deserve that content, but you just really like torturing me, don't you?
When episode 8 comes out, so in 2 weeks from now, we will put our own videos of Flip the Scripts of the live action M. Night Shyamalan version on Patreon. It'll be unedited, our own thoughts. It'll be like 3 hours long probably. So if you really want that, subscribe to our Patreon.
There will be a lot of tomfoolery in that. I can promise.
And it'll only be one episode for the entire film.
Yeah.
And that's our Patreon promise to you in 8 episodes. Well, when episode 8 airs.
It'll be live in 2 weeks minimum.
Minimum. Cool. So,
minimum.
Maximum. Too, because we don't want to go after.
Oh, right, maximum. Minimum, it might be live now. I'm not sure. It depends on when we record it.
Okay. So, Ankit, it's time for super fun fact time with Ankit.
Yay! All right. So, this episode, which is episode 8, Masks.
Episode 6.
Not episode 8. Episode 6, Masks. We were talking about episode 8, dude. Like, cut me some slack. Episode 6, Masks. It was directed by Roseanne Liang. She was a previous director of one of the episodes as well. I think it was the episode before this. Makes sense. And the writing credits go to Emily Kim, who the teleplay was by, and Hunter Reese is my best guess, Ries, and Brian Konietzko.
Oh, Brian's back.
I think that's how I say it. It says teleplay by. So Brian's back for this episode, which is in full effect, and we see. Now, the story is by Uba Muhammad, Brian Konietzko. Brian, I'm so sorry. I should know how to pronounce your name by now, but I don't think I'm pronouncing it right. And Michael Dante DiMartino. So both of them were back for this episode, the story and the teleplay, which Brian helped with. It was developed by Albert Kim. The story editor is Keely McDonald, and the staff writer is Audrey Wong Kennedy.
Sounds good. Let's hop into this. Well, now that we've done fact time.
Wait, there's one more fun fact.
Oh yeah,
thing.
The rating. We've heard the rating.
Yeah, the rating is a thing. Do you want to take a guess? I will give you a hint. It is the best rated episode.
An 8, because it was actually quite good.
8.3.
8.3. So this is an episode to me that not only brings the fans of this live action series together, but the old fans together. This is an episode where the old fans can watch and go, this is Avatar. This is why we watch the show.
Yeah. Oh, I love this episode.
I still have a few problems with the episode.
Ladies and gentlemen.
But I loved it.
Oh, don't get me wrong. There were issues, but compared to what has happened, they were minor.
Yeah. So
I'll say that.
And this also combines a couple episodes as well again. We'll talk about more about that in a second. But Ankit, now that we've done fun fact time with you, fun question time with me. Who is your favorite sub-villain in the series? So obviously
Can you hear
Ozai
that?
is the main villain, but anybody else is considered a sub-villain. So any sub-villain. And you can do Legend of Korra if you really want to as well.
Wait, so would Zuko be considered a sub-villain?
No, he's an anti-hero, and then he becomes a hero, so no.
Okay, I'm just going based on what you said.
None of the gang can be your answer. None of the Avatar gang can be your answer.
Okay, none of the gang. That seems fair.
Yeah.
That seems fair. Am I going based off of the original, or am I going based off of the Netflix?
Oh, original, hands down. We've already decided it's better.
Okay. Well, I mean, like, I know that it's better, but I'm just checking.
I mean, I'm literally,
just
after
in
we're
case.
done, I'm going to literally rewatch the entire 3 seasons again, because I really need it.
I just finished the entire 3 seasons.
Bless you, man.
Like-
Bless you.
Like,
While I'm reading
on Thursday. We're recording this on a Sunday.
Between reading
and
Ender's
I
Game.
finished it on the Thursday.
Between reading Ender's Game. Oh, sorry, that might be a spoiler for 3 weeks, but between reading the next book, whoops, I'm gonna watch the 3 seasons.
Cool, you have a week.
I'm already halfway through the book.
Great, I haven't started.
It's a wonderful book. It's
anyway,
only 300 pages. We can read 300 pages in a day.
Look, I just said I hadn't started.
Yeah, you'll finish it in like 2 days. It's fine.
Go. Anyway, back to your question.
Yeah, who's your favorite sub-villain?
I think my favorite sub-villain would have to be The Rock. Or no, the Boulder.
The Boulder?
Would he count?
Yeah, the Boulder counts. He's definitely a villain in one of.
Yes.
I would say the guy who's actually like in charge of all of them, the master or whatever. He's more of a sub-villain than the Boulder. The Boulder just kind of goes along with everyone. But I'll give you credit for the Boulder because the Boulder does turn good at the end, though.
That is fair. I also do really like in season 2.
Yeah.
Long Fang.
Yeah, that I think that's the leader, right, of the wrestling.
That's the leader of the Dai Li.
Yeah.
And the only reason I'm not saying Azula is it's too easy of an answer.
My answer would be Sparky Boom Man.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a
just
good one.
Just because, like, I think combustion bending, I know, like, they did in Legend of Korra, but I think combustion bending, when they introduced it, this whole fact that you can, like, eyeball bend was so fascinating to me. I was like, what? And then also, he just was, like, this, like, weird guy who came out of nowhere with a metal arm, and then when he died, his arm goes flying. I just loved it.
He never spoke.
Never spoke.
He just blew stuff up.
I just think that, like, Sparky Boom Man was, like, a really great villain. And I really love it when Sokka goes, you sent Sparky Boom Man after us? And Zuko goes, well, that's not his name, but...
No. He says, you sent Combustion Man.
Oh, that's right. Well, you've seen the 3rd season recently. I haven't seen it in a while, so...
You know what? That's fair. But yeah, so he says Combustion Man. And that being said, I like how canonically, from what I can tell, most of the Avatar community and everyone like online just calls him Sparky Boom Man. No one takes him seriously as Combustion Man. It's Sparky Boom Man.
That's his name. We're gonna go. So We're back with the Avatar TV show. This combines a couple episodes again. So the episodes it combines is the episode of the Blue Spirit. So that's one of the episodes it uses. Also, the Winter Solstice Part 2. As well as the Storm is finally kind of introduced into this season. A little bit. Now, it's not the whole Storm episode that Ankit and I talked about, I think, last week, which is one of Ankit's favorite episodes.
I think so.
But it is bits of the Storm that are weaved into this story.
Yeah, and the reason that it's not, like, kind of... The Blue Spirit part of the episode is almost taken as is for the majority. There's changes, but, like, that part is taken. Some of the original Winter Solstice Part 2 is taken, but then the reason that the Storm episode is kind of split is that you have a lot of that Storm story told at the beginning of episode 1.
Yeah.
Because you get all of Aang's side of the story already told. So you don't need it here.
So, we're going to hop right into the episode. The episode starts with Zuko trying on his new Fire Nation outfit in front of a mirror. He's having really hard times with the shoulder pads. Iroh comes in to help him fix it. I think this is really cool. This is post Iroh losing Luten and him no longer being up for Fire Lord. So Ozai is the Fire Lord at this moment. And Zuko's mother is gone as well, I think, now. So this is like that point in his
I think
life.
Ozai is the Fire Lord at this
No,
point.
that's what I'm saying. Ozai is the Fire Lord. Iroh's just his brother.
Yeah.
Iroh is also kind of taken a full liking of Zuko, has been trying to raise him as best as he can as well. So this is before the first War Council meeting. Now, Ankit, I know what happens in the first Council War meeting, but if you've never seen the show before, it does get into it in this episode. So Zuko's looking at a mirror, and it has a few Iroh narration about what the mask we put on to hide ourselves, and it cuts back to Zuko from the mirror to his face. I thought this was really cool cinematic switch from his face that it was to his face that is now. We get a similar shot in season 3 of Avatar: Last Airbender, the cartoon, where it shows Aang's face, and when Aang says, "I need to reclaim my honor," and it goes back to Zuko's face, and I think that's such an impactful moment in the latter season.
You get that, and you also get in season 3 a shot of Zuko later in season 3, but it's when he still has like a eye patch and like a bandage over his new scar, and then it transitions into his face in present day.
So Commander Zhao is there, and he's giving everyone orders of where to go. Zuko comes in, he's like, "Why are you going this way, Lieutenant? I need Lieutenant G." And Admiral Zhao comes in and goes, "Well, now I'm an admiral." And he has a little paper that says he's an admiral.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Commander Zhao does become an admiral in the TV show. That is true. But this Zhao doesn't deserve that honor. I don't think this Zhao has done anything.
This Zhao hasn't done anything.
He hasn't done anything to actually deserve the role of admiral. But whatever.
He's given the role of admiral because Azula's like, "Hey, Dad, you should give him the role of admiral."
I hate this change so much. So then Zuko tries to motivate his men back to him and fails, and he runs away. Iroh then tells the men how Zuko's been really loyal to them and they need to listen to him. And the lieutenant's like, he finally fires back. He's like, he's a petulant child and he attacks us. And I'm like, we're talking about the storm finally. Ankit's going to be happy. They mentioned the stuff from the storm.
Yeah, and the stuff that they add later in the episode, I really liked.
So, before we have even time to think about it, Aang then arrives at the Fire Temple. Alone, mind you, which is originally all of his friends are there, plus Momo, plus
Everyone
Appa.
is there.
Trying to get in the Fire Temple. It's just the fact that...
The whole gang.
What?
The whole gang.
He runs into the fire sages and they're like, "We're going to kill you," which is true. That does happen in the cartoon. And he runs away. He runs from the fire and he runs into Shiyu. Shiyu, the good fire sage, who's like, "I'm going to help you."
Yay.
Now, Shiyu originally takes him under the mountain into like a volcano to get to the entrance of where Roku's statue is.
Right, he just has like a set of back stairs.
Yeah, but Shiyu just kind of takes him into Roku's statue like automatically. Like there's no way there's no fire doors to open. There's no we're gonna blow up these 3 and try to get them open.
No, didn't he have one fire door that he opened at the very start when he gets to Aang, and he's like, "Follow me if you want to come." You want to see Roku come.
To get into Roku's room, you needed 5 firebenders to get into the Roku statue.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. He just had a back room.
Exactly, which isn't how it works. I don't understand. So then we cut to June, who finds a piece of fabric of Aang, is like, "Oh, I'm after you." And I'm like, it's cool to have June there, but like, I don't care about June right now. No. We cut back to Aang, and he's with Roku's statue already. And we already talked about the problems with this. And Shiyu's like, "I'm going to defend you. You stay back. I'll protect you against the other fire sages." And I'm like, oh, wow. Shiyu is going to fight for the Avatar. That's interesting.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess
Why
that's how that
not?
works.
Because that's apparently how it works.
So Aang then goes in the Avatar state and he talks to Roku. Roku tries to be funny. I didn't really laugh at his jokes. He really tried to be funny. But it's fine.
Roku in the animation is kind.
He's ethereal too. I think Roku is very ethereal in the cartoon. Where
That's a good word.
This
for it.
Roku is very, I don't know, it's just not Roku. I feel like they're taking a lot of these characters and just like they're not putting them on screen. It's one thing to say they're Roku. It's another thing to actually put Roku on the screen.
Right. Like my issue with it is that Roku here in the live action is just kind of condescending with his jokes.
Exactly.
And also he's so aggressive in his message. Whereas whenever we see Roku in the animated series, let it be the first time, let it be later, he's very calming. He's a calming presence for Aang. He's like, I understand this is difficult. And I think Roku gets it more than like Kyoshi or somebody.
Of course.
Because Roku's like, hey, I left you in this position. It's my fault that you're here. So I need to do everything in my power to make sure that like I can help you the best I can. I'm not here to be forceful, tell you which way to go. It's just like, I think this is how it should go.
Yeah.
So I can guide you, but I'm not trying to like give you an answer.
So Aang asked Roku about Ko. And he's like, I need your help to save my friends from Ko. Now, this is bull. The whole reason Aang goes to Roku in the cartoon is because Roku has called him to him so he can explain Sozin's comment. The whole thing about the first half of the season 1 is the fact that Aang is not really trying to learn all 4 bending natures. He's not really going somewhere yet. He's just kind of still having adventures with his friends. And then he meets Roku.
He's kind of like trying to go up north, working his way up
but
there,
slowly.
But there's no sense of urgency.
Now, when he meets Roku, and Roku's like, hey, Sozin's Comet's gonna come. And if Sozin's Comet comes and you don't defeat the Fire Lord by the next summer solstice, which is in 6 months, mind you, from where they are.
No, I think it is... Is it 6 months? No.
Because winter solstice, summer solstice is 6 months.
No, but Sozin's Comet comes after the summer solstice.
I thought it was on the summer solstice.
I don't think it's on the summer solstice. Is it on the summer solstice?
I thought it was on the summer solstice.
Sure, whatever. Like, we can say...
6 months.
About 6 months.
So it gives Aang a timeline of where he needs to master all 4 elements in the shortest time an Avatar has ever mastered it. Right. Otherwise, he won't be able to save the world. And that is the stakes of the TV show, of the cartoon, from episode 13, because it's part 2 of the Winter Solstice, which is the mid-season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Episode 13? Am I right? Winter Solstice part 2?
That sounds right.
So, from episode 13 to the rest of the season, rest of the series even, the stakes are there. You know, and it just doesn't make any sense to me why they would get rid of the best stakes of the show. The whole big bad. It's like, yes, the Fire Nation's bad, but the Fire Nation is waiting for Sozin's Comet. And Roku knows about it.
Also, we were wrong. It is significantly earlier than we thought. It is episode 8.
Oh, my bad. So from episode 8, that's even earlier. That's even worse. But that's even worse then. From episode 8, you know this fact. That makes it even worse.
Yeah. It raises the stakes real fast.
There are no stakes in this TV show. The Northern Water Tribe's going to get attacked. That's the stakes right now. Then Aang would just go there. There's no reason to have these other side adventures if Aang knows the what. Like, he would have left from Kyoshi Island and just went straight there.
Exactly. Like, it doesn't make sense of why it's taken him so long to get there. Whereas, like, even through episode 8, and then after episode 8, we see Aang starting to try to learn waterbending kind of in different episodes. It's like, okay, you have the whole thing about the scroll, which is completely cut out in this TV show because Graham just gifts them a scroll. But like you have a whole episode about the scroll where Katara really wants it for herself, but she steals from pirates because it's like, okay, like we need to teach Aang waterbending. The scroll will help us teach waterbending. Like it'll help us learn bending so that you have a little bit of a head start when you get to the Northern Water Tribe, because it's going to still take them time. And you see that throughout this first season. Like even though this is episode 8, you don't get to the Northern Water Tribe until I think it's like episode 18 is when they actually get there.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So
18 sounds about right. But like, you know, those whole 10 episodes, you still have, they have a clear mission. They need to get to the Water Tribe.
To learn
it's
bending.
Just, you know, on the other end of the world. So it's going to take some time.
So they talk more about Ko. And Roku's like, I took something from Ko. By the way, Roku never dealt with Ko at all as an Avatar tenured.
No, it was Kuruk.
It was Kuruk, who they talk about. They also have Kuruk in the show, by the way, in the last step, in like the next episode. And we'll talk about the problems with Kuruk then. But also, they mentioned Ko again. It's like Ko dealt with one Avatar, not 2. Okay, whatever. So Kuruk is, Roku's like, I stole a pendant of the Mother of Faces from Ko, who happens to be his mother. And I'm like, cool referencing of The Search, which is a comic book where they find Zuko's mother, but I didn't need it.
That's all we'll say about that.
That's all we'll say. So, and then Roku then says, you don't need friends, which is another, all these avatars are saying the same thing of Aang has to do it alone. Aang doesn't need friends, all this stuff. And I'm like, none of the writers realize
in the show, Roku's like, you have good friends. You're gonna need their help.
Because guess what? Roku had friends. One of them being Gyatso from the air. Like, what I don't understand.
One of them, his best friend. Spoiler alert, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't want to hear this, Steven, you gotta wait until I finish the spoiler warning.
Oh, my bad. Spoiler alert, bleep me until he finishes it.
Thank you. Spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear this, skip 15 seconds. But his best friend is Sozin, the guy who started the war. Like, he had friends. It's not like he didn't have friends.
And every avatar...
Kyoshi obviously had friends. Otherwise, like, why would she have created Kyoshi Island to keep her friends and family safe?
Also, every avatar has had an avatar gang. That is like a thing chronologically. They talk about it.
Yeah.
Like Brian and the other writers talk about the fact that every avatar has had a gang.
Yeah, we just don't know much about the other gangs.
I mean, we know about Korra's, but yeah.
We know about Korra's, and we know some of Roku's friends, but we don't know like who was like the close-knit ones.
Well, it's like the people who will go on the Avatar's journey, or he'll meet on his journey, or as the Avatar gang. That's the understanding.
Yeah, okay,
especially in a non-wartime perspective. But if you read the Kyoshi comics, Kyoshi had a gang. Kyoshi had friends who went with her on missions. It makes no sense. I don't know why they need this idea of like, Aang, you can't have friends, and then you need to be like, oh no, I need to have friends, and that's the message of the show. Where like the message of the show, that came from just Aang having friends. We didn't need to be told over and over again that Aang needs his friends.
It was every now and again Aang is like, no, I need to do this on my own. And then he kind of tries to do something. It goes poorly. And then Sokka and Katara are like, oi, dum-dum, we're here. Deal with it.
I know. So then he leaves Roku and he goes out and he takes the relic too, because the relic just happens to be there in Roku's.
Oh, convenience.
Oh, yeah. Good MacGuffin, everyone. You know, I hate MacGuffins. MacGuffins is when you are a bad writer and you need to put something in another location so they can pick it up and they can continue the story. That's a MacGuffin. And guess what, Avatar people? Netflix, you suck. You made a MacGuffin. Ankit and I could write a better show in our sleep without a MacGuffin. And we're not writers.
At this point, I feel like we should.
And we're not writers. Netflix, get your head out of your ass.
in a bit. I'll be back in town in a bit. We'll be in the same time zone again.
Yee. So he comes out, he discovers all the fire stages are knocked out, and he's like, what? And he notices they're paralyzed, and he's like, oh no. And then June comes in and like knocks him out with a sheer shoe. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Which I did find kind of funny. I'm not gonna lie.
I have one issue with it, though.
I was just like,
June's not allowed in the Fire Nation.
That was my issue with it. But I found it hilarious how he's like, what's going? And June's just like, cool, that was easy. But I also just laughed at like whatever June said. There.
Roku's palace is on an island. You can't get there except by boat. Did June have a boat?
I don't know, but can't the Shearshoe run over water?
Can it?
Or can it swim?
I didn't think so. I thought it lost like the scent over water. I think that was a big thing.
It's never mentioned. Hold on. I'll do some research. Explain what goes on.
Yeah, so June knocks him out. He then wakes up in June. He's like, June, you have to let me go. By the way, the next 3 scenes is Aang just asking to be let go from the next person who captures him. Because it's such good writing, everyone. I mean, give it up for the Netflix writers. They really know how to write a character and make them say the same thing 3 times so you know it's like really important. No, I'm totally being sarcastic. I hated it. So...
Wait, you are? I had no idea.
Then Iroh and Zuko show up. And...
Wait, before Iroh and Zuko.
Yeah.
The Shearshoe. Supposedly, it can track its quarry across stone, water, dirt, and thin air. It is a large quadrupedal creature found in the southern Earth Kingdom, where it lives underground.
But can it swim?
It says that it can track it over water. I'm assuming that it can't. Hold on. Okay, hold on.
I just think it was a dumb choice to send June into the Fire Nation. Can we leave it at that?
I agree it was a dumb choice, but now you have pulled my hand because I'm pretty sure that it can travel in the water. But you are saying no.
I mean, it's
I am not the type of person to let something go. You should know.
So maybe.
No, quadrupedal.
Quadrupedal, so maybe. I think that might mean it can travel over water.
It doesn't say anything specific on the Avatar fandom wiki, and that is where I'm looking real quick.
Fine. So we'll move on. We'll figure it out later. If somebody knows, maybe post it in the comments. So
yeah,
Zuko and Iroh show up, and because it doesn't make any sense that Zuko and Iroh are there. Number one, I know they talked to June earlier in the show. Number two, Zuko's already been taken off his pedestal by Admiral Zhao, so he shouldn't be able to leave the ship freely with Iroh. It just the writing is not equaling each other. But Iroh pays her, and she's like, "You're cute," and leaves. And I'm like, I miss the Iroh and June relationship from the cartoon more because Iroh's really funny in the cartoon.
Yeah, where Iroh just simps for June, and June's like, "Aw, leave me alone."
Yeah, literally. So then Aang is in the back of the van or back of the wagon, sorry. And he's like, let me go. I need to save the people. And Zuko's like, no. And then so Aang's just going to beg to be let go by every single person he gets captured by in this episode. Got it. Cool. That's fine. That's all the writing he needs. So this actor really didn't even memorize lines. He usually memorizes one line. They're going to re-say it 3 times. So then we go back in time to the war room. Zuko has an outburst. Zuko is supposed to just have an outburst randomly. But his dad puts him on the spot in this version and makes him try to come up with a plan to counter the general's plan. And he can't do it. And then he bursts later and he calls it stupid. And I'm like, he calls it a terrible plan. And I just, the ability to lessen the extent of that moment in the TV show by the Netflix writers is so amazing. I have to say that the moment from the cartoon is so impactful because it's Zuko defending the lives of the Fire Nation soldiers. He's the only one who stands up for them. And you can't see his dad's face, which I think makes it even more scary. because it's this idea of the specter that's over this meeting, and Zuko hasn't spoken at all until that moment. And Iroh is there. Iroh's supposed to be at the war meeting. Why isn't he there in this war meeting? I don't know. But
I don't know. Also, here's the thing that I will say is even though they have Ozai in there, when Ozai puts him on the spot, if he said then, I don't have a better idea, but this is a dumb one. You can't do this. You can't risk their lives. I still would have been more okay with it. Not okay with it, but more okay with it.
Yeah. So then Ozai interrupts and calls Agni Kai. Now, this is the first time we've heard Agni Kai in the live action show. We already are supposed to have seen an Agni Kai in the cartoon because Zhao and Zuko have an Agni Kai in like episode 2. Episode 3, sorry. Episode 3, my bad. Because episode 2 is the Water Tribe double episode.
Yeah.
So episode 3, there's already
shenanigans happen with water.
It's almost like an Agni Kai already happened.
We can't have water in this one. That's not allowed.
Yeah. So he calls for Agni Kai, and then we cut back to the modern time, and Zuko and Iroh get surrounded by Zhao and his men, and Zhao's like, "Ha! I have the Avatar now." Which is, yes, Zhao does capture Aang at one point, but he doesn't capture him from Zuko and Iroh.
Yeah, it did give Zhao a little bit of credit, ladies and gentlemen. He gets the archers all on his own. He does this all on his own. Yeah. He doesn't need assistance from Azula. And he's the one that's like, okay, we've tracked the Avatar to here. And then he sends the archers to go capture the Avatar.
And I wrote terrible acting from the actor who's playing Zhao at this moment. Because it's this whole scene, he's just hamming it up. And I'm like, you're not in a cartoon, sir. And even the Zhao from the cartoon is a better actor than you are.
I mean, it's Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, but it's just, why would you direct him to do that way? So Zhao takes Aang away. Zuko wants to go after Aang, and Iroh says we have to have patience. And we then cut to Zhao talking to Aang, and he's captured him. And Aang's like, "You have to let me go again." And Zhao's like, "No."
Wow, who could have guessed?
So then Zhao goes up, and he's like, he's giving a speech to his small army, not his giant legion because he's an admiral now, but his small tiny army.
No. The army is big enough to fit in like. What's a small enough thing that most people... Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
Gym.
Imagine a basketball court.
Yeah, I was going to say a gym, yeah.
Most people, I feel like, can imagine a basketball court, right? Or, actually, no, this is easier because this will be more widespread. Imagine a tennis court. A tennis court. Zhao is standing at the net. His entire army can fit in bounds of half of the court.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what? So then they're like, we're going to throw a party because we captured the Avatar. And I'm like, okay, all right, cool. That's fine. And we cut to the Blue Spirit who's outside the stronghold. And I'm like, hey! And that's going to be where we'll take our snack break.
Sounds good.
Hi, this is Stephen. Thank you for watching Co-op Forge. If you like our content, wish to support our editing staff or all, please subscribe to our Patreon and link down below. You'll get bonus footage and many other fun activities out of it. In our description, you'll also find links to our social media, where we'll post about our new episodes. Flip the Scripts is every Friday. Seattle Across the Pond is every other Thursday. And Post Finale is posted every Wednesday. Thank you for watching. Now back to the main episode. And we're back from the snack break. How was your snack break, Ankit?
The Blue Spirit.
The Blue Spirit.
Oh, it was lovely.
Good. Yeah.
It's hot.
It's hot. Yeah. So the Blue Spirit goes into the tunnels and goes to rescue Aang. Now, a lot of this next bit of the episode is in the cartoon. You just need to watch the Blue Spirit episode from the cartoon and just skip the rest of this episode. But no, please listen to us. I have a few issues with this episode, this stuff though. But the Blue Spirit's pretty spot on. You don't need to watch the Netflix
Blue Spirit's
show.
Pretty spot on. This is not where I have a lot of issues with it. Actually, like from here on out, I don't have that many issues with the episode.
So we cut to Zhao So Blue Spirit goes in, he defeats a couple guys, gets Aang out, they're running, Zhao discovers he's gone, and they're all trying to stop Aang. The one question I had in this whole sequence is, where's Aang's glider?
Actually, though,
so in the show,
I had that thought, but it's also been a few days since I've seen the episode.
Okay, so in the cartoon, just to be clear, so everyone understands where I'm coming from, Aang doesn't have his glider in the cartoon because his glider is with Sokka and Katara, who are sick and being medicated by Momo. And
medicated is a strong word.
True. Helped by Momo. Attempted to help by Momo.
Helped is a strong word. Attempted
help by Momo. Okay, is that fine? Attempted help.
Yeah, I will go with attempted help.
And
I am happy with
Aang
attempted
gets captured
help.
without his avatar staff, and then he goes back and he ends up getting his staff back. In this version of events,
it never left,
he has his staff in the fire temple. He talks to Roku. I think he goes out and no longer has the staff. So his staff is back in the fire temple where Roku is, which means that he never gets his staff back, but magically has it back in the next episode. Netflix, do you see what happens when you change the source material? Your show doesn't make any sense.
In case you can't tell, ladies and gentlemen, Steven's very upset. I am too. I just figured I'd let him have this one.
It's a stupid choice. When you make stupid choices, you cause stupid things to happen. The show didn't contradict themselves.
That's true. That is true. But actually, though, how does he get his staff back?
Well, because if the Avatar staff's back at Roku's temple, number one, right? If it's back at Roku's temple, then Zhao would have it. Because Zhao goes back to Roku's temple after this episode, according to the show we'll watch later. If it's with Iroh and Zuko, which it wasn't, because it wasn't in the wagon, but if it was, Iroh and Zuko would have it.
Either way, Aang shouldn't have it.
Yeah, it's just gone. The staff is gone. Sorry, guys, the staff's gone. So they start fighting all these Fire Nation guys on the top of the wall, and I didn't like the fighting in this episode. I actually did not like the choreography. I thought the choreography was very messy.
The choreography felt... The one thing that I did enjoy with the choreography, like, okay, so I see where you're going with this, right? And I think what they might have been going for with the choreography in this was wacky prison escape, and it's not a put together plan, and it's flying by the seat of their pants, right? Like, that's what they were going for. I think what happened was it was sloppy, flying by the seat of our pants.
Yeah. So then they get surrounded by Zhao and his men, and Zuko, the Blue Spirit. Sorry, I'm ruining spoilers. The Blue Spirit holds a sword to Aang, is like, let me out or I'll kill him, basically, without speaking it. And Zhao lets him out, and then an archer shoots, and it's just like the show. An archer shoots him and knocks him out, and Aang sees that it's Zuko. But they crack the Blue Spirit mask, which isn't true in the show at all. The Blue Spirit mask just gets knocked off. Because the Blue Spirit mask comes back in season 2, so it can't have a crack in it.
Dude, literally later in this episode, Iroh sees the Blue Spirit mask, and hey, it doesn't have a crack in it.
Oh, it doesn't? I thought it did.
I don't think it did.
Oh, fair. If it didn't, Netflix, you're really good at continuity. That's your best trait. So Aang sees it's Zuko, and he goes to run away, but he rescues him instead. This is just like in the show. And then we end up in a moment of a scene that should not happen. This scene should not happen until season 3. This is a season 3 moment for Aang and Zuko. It's weird having it here. So Aang and Zuko are talking about brush strokes, and he thanks him for his notebook. And then Aang asks Zuko what he wants, and Zuko's like, I want to capture you so I can become the Fire Prince again. And I'm like, no, you want to capture him so you can have your honor back, because honor is your most important trait.
Right.
it's one of those things where I'm like, you're destroying the character slowly, and I'm not liking it. Zuko is one of these people. Zuko is one of the characters that everyone freaking loves, and I love what the actor's doing with him. I just don't like the writing they're giving him.
Again, I don't. There are only a few actors that I kind of feel like, and again, I'm not trying to bash the actors because like they all did the best that they could do with the script that they were given.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing for me. I mean, sometimes, like, don't get me wrong, I'll watch something and be like, that was just poor. But I think they did try to do the best that they could do. But I want to just say, like, I don't know, Zuko's actor, I think, is legitimately a good actor.
So they have a talk, and then Zuko gets mad and goes to fire at Aang, and Aang knocks him out again, and I'm like, cool, I guess Aang has that power. And then we go back in time again to the Agni Kai of Zuko. Zuko, who thinks he's going to fight the general, turns out to be his father. Now, this moment is beautifully done in the cartoon. I love it. I hated this moment in the TV show.
Yeah.
For one reason and one reason only. In the TV show...
Zuko doesn't fight.
In the TV show, they have Zuko fight back. But in the cartoon... Zuko doesn't fight, which angers Ozai more, which is why he burns him and banishes him. They make it so Zuko fights him, and I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. No, number one, the fight looks bad. Like, Agni Kais are supposed to be in this epic burst of fire, and this looks terrible. I'm like, Netflix, did you waste your budget in the first half of the season? Maybe you did, but this budget did not go to this moment in the scene. I'm sorry.
I think, like, that's the thing is some of the fight scenes at the beginning of the series were quite well choreographed. So I'm surprised that a fight scene involving only two, was possibly one of the worst fight scenes in the whole series.
And I will also say, the point of the Agni Kai is Zuko's whole thing is he doesn't fight. Zuko is a pacifist. That is his character trait down to like it hurts him to have to be so aggravated and have aggro. That's why his firebending's not as good in the first season. Like, that's the point of his character arc, is he learns how to use his calmness and as a firebender, and what that does for him, it makes him this great thing. And the power of breath and all these things. He cries to his dad not to fight him. But no. He has to fight. And it's like...
The other thing is that, like, in the show, in the cartoon, it's a massive ordeal.
It is. And everyone's there. Everyone's watching.
In the Netflix show, everyone's there. In the Netflix show, it's like, what, 4 people are there to just be like, look, father and son are gonna, like, spar.
I saw people in the stands, I thought, but it did look like it was less because of where people were. A lot of people were a lot closer to the action in the cartoon.
Yeah, it felt like they were just so far away. It didn't feel as intimate and as intimidating, I guess, for Zuko.
So then we cut back after his eye is burned, and he's like, compassion is a sign of weakness. And I'm like, yeah, that's the thing Ozai would say. But that's not why Ozai burns him.
Right.
So...
Also...
Because the moment he burns him, he's like, you're not showing me honor by fighting against me. You're being dishonorable for not fighting me in the Agni Kai. Because the Fire Nation is all about honor. Which he fought him in the
Agni Kai.
Because it's based off feudal Japan. Oh my gosh. It's based off a culture that you should know about, Netflix?
I'm sorry, Netflix knows culture?
Maybe not. They hired all these people of color to direct this show and be in the episodes and write. But maybe not. Maybe they were like, oh no, that's too hard for audiences to understand.
Okay.
So Zuko's there, and Aang, we cut back to Aang, and Aang is telling Zuko about Kuzan, his friend in the Fire Nation. And I'm like, Hey, this is the scene that's actually in the episode.
Woo, we got there.
And he says, I wonder if we could have been friends. Because that's all they needed to continue the story. Not, let's have a whole moment of Aang and Zuko earlier on. Because Aang thinks they could have been friends in a different... And then Zuko firebends at him, and Aang sends him away with air on a boat. All right, cool. We cut back to Iroh, who's waiting for Zuko. And the lieutenant comes in and says, why are you still waiting for him? We'll wait for him. And, Iroh says, Lieutenant G, there's a reason you're on this boat. And we cut back in time again. And this is the one change
this part
that I
loved.
That I like.
I loved this light.
So
this change.
We cut to Iroh, who's kind of waiting on Zuko as a nurse. And Ozai comes to admonish Zuko more. This is bull. This part actually is bullshit because Zuko's banished right away.
Short.
So Zuko should already be banished, and Iroh and him should already be on the road. Ozai says, you must purge your weakness. Zuko stands up to him again, which is something Zuko can't do yet, but he does anyway. And he's like, I'm going to banish you. And he's like, oh, and if you care for the 41st Division so much, take them with you. So he takes them with him. The 41st then learns of Zuko's loyalty. In the 2 minutes that Zuko shows up, by the way, I don't know when the rest of the guys learned about it, but at least the lieutenant knew about it. That was kind of weird. But they all bow to him and they give him honor for everything. And then narration starts from Iroh. He's like,
I thought it was the wait. I thought it was the 43rd Division.
41st.
No, it is the 41st.
And then
I'm just
the
remembering
true honor of
43 for some
Zuko
reason.
is what I wrote. And that is Zuko's honor. He is honor with his team. In the storm, he gets it by saving them from the storm. But in the TV show, I like what they did to change it. Although I think they didn't need this additional scene where Ozai has to say it privately. Ozai could have burned him and then been like, and take that 41st worthless division with you, with your banishment. Like, it could have been that kind of impactful.
Right.
Or if they didn't want to make the change, there's another way to make it make sense. Because the people who are with Iroh are Iroh's men. Like, they're Iroh's men. That's why Zuko is searching with Iroh. So, I don't know. So, Iroh then has a narration. It's like, it's amazing how we go hide our true selves. Then Aang shows up again, and he sees Momo Nappa, and he's going to go save Sokka and Katara from Ko. How does he get back there without his glider?
I've stopped questioning things in this show, dude.
So Aang saves everyone from Ko, and then Iroh says, it's hard to admit you need people. And then Aang's sad because Gyatso's gone from the spirit world. And you sometimes have to put on a mask to protect yourselves, is how the episode ends. Iroh's narration. And that is the end of the episode 6, Mask. Now, I like the ending.
Woo.
I think the ending works in a lot of ways.
I do too.
I have one issue with it. Aang never bests Ko. Heibai is the spirit who's been stealing all the people, and Heibai releases them. Now, it felt like the issues of episode 6 all come from episode 5.
Yeah.
For the most part. All right. So, Ankit, what would you rate this episode? On a scale of 1 to 10 as an episode, not an adaptation.
Probably an 8.
Yeah, I'd give it an 8. It was enjoyable. The action could have been better. Zhao's acting could have been better.
Like the glider.
Zhao's acting could have been better.
Fair.
Well, how would you rate it as an adaptation?
6.5.
I'd give it a 5. Half and half. Because I think half was really good and half was really bad.
I think that's why I'm saying 6.5. Because...
So like below average? Not a failure, but below average-ish?
Yeah, below average. But the reason that I'm giving it a little bit, I guess, of a higher rating is that they were faithful. Some of the portions that they changed, I some of the things I was like, this is a horrible change. And some of them I was like, okay, it's a bad change, but I kind of like, they had to make the change because the problem that they set up with the previous episode. And so I didn't want to knock it necessarily because it had episode 6, like portions of it had to suffer because of what they did in episode 5. So if I take out like those changes, I think it's about a 6.5.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I would change mine to a 6 then. Below average, but like not perfectly adapted.
Yeah, and exactly. But I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of, okay, because especially with this being one of the episodes that I enjoyed the most, then I was just like, okay, why did I enjoy it? It's because it was more of a faithful adaptation than anything else I've seen so far.
And to be fair, what you guys need to understand for Ankit and I is we understand in adaptation you need to change things. Like, that's fine. When you change mediums, that's fine. You do need to change things. It's when you change the characters so much they're no longer the characters, you make really bad acting decisions, and you make decisions that actually hurt the story in the long run, like where's Aang's lighter?
Like, simply put, ladies and gentlemen, we didn't do it as an official episode, but we have some episodes up on our Patreon of us talking about the Percy Jackson TV show. Mm-hmm. Now, we have issues with that, certain things, where we're like, all right, we didn't like these changes, but then at the same time we understand why. But when it comes down to it, I don't think either of us would say that any of the characters in the show changed. The essence of the character was still the same. Choices were changed and, you know, certain storytelling elements may have changed, but the characters didn't change.
Exactly.
The big problem here is that we feel like the characters have changed.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we're going to end it here. So, we'll see you next week for episode 7, The North. Hope to see you there. Bye now.
Woo-hoo. Bye. Hello, and thank you so much for listening to this episode of Flip the Scripts. Flip the Scripts is created, hosted, and produced by Ankit Madhira and Stephen Nieman. Our editor is Sebastien Hollich, the art is by Kshitija Madhira, and the music is by Sebastien Hollich. If you like the video, you can click to listen to the next part, or if it's not out yet, you can find one of our previous episodes.
Or if you want to check out some of our other content, here's a fun video from another one of our shows.
Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, comment, and hit that bell icon to get notified of all of our content when it releases.
Subscribe to our Patreon if you want bonus content.
Links to all of our social media and Patreon are in the episode description down below.
Thank you for supporting our content. Come back next week for more shenanigans from Co-op Forge.
New episodes for Flip the Scripts release every Friday, Seattle Across the Pond every other Thursday, and post finale every Wednesday. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Bye now.